Present.
Director Howell. Director Hume.
Here.
Director Jennings.
Here.
Director Kennedy. Director Miller.
Here.
Director Natoli.
Here.
Director Chenier.
He was here just a moment ago. Oh, he's here. He's on.
Okay, so Director Chenier
Here.
and Director Kennedy? Not yet. With that, we have a quorum at 100 votes. This meeting, the Sacramento Regional Transit Board of Directors, will be streamed live on SacRT's website. It can be found under About SacRT and Board Documents. Please check the Sacramento Metropolitan Cable Commission broadcast calendar for replay dates and times.
Cindy, can you hear me? This is Director Cerna.
Yes, sir, I can hear you.
You didn't call my name.
Didn't? I'm sorry. Director Cerna. Oh, well.
Glad to have you here with us, Director Cerna. Since we don't seem to have a flag present, maybe we can have a ceremonial Pledge of Allegiance, and I'll just do it on behalf of the board if you're okay. There we go.
I'm sorry, I do have a flag to show you. If you'd like to do the Pledge of Allegiance.
Jim has one as well, but if Cindy, you want to put yours on the screen.
We'd love to see your flag.
One moment, I am getting there.
Maybe you could sing the national anthem. Oh, there we go.
There we go, Cindy. Thank you.
Yeah.
All right. Please join me in saying the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Amen.
Amen. Thank you. All right, Madam Clerk, please call the first item.
We have the consent calendar, items 2.1 through 2.16.
Do we have any public comment on these items, Madam Clerk?
No, sir.
Do we have any directors who'd like to speak to these items?
Hearing none, I will move approval of consent calendar 2.1 through 2.16.
I'll second.
All right. That was a motion from Director Budge and I think a second from Director Howell.
Yes.
Any other comments or questions? By the way, I believe the consent calendar, Director Budge, goes up through 2.16.
That's what I said.
Okay. I thought I heard 2.9, sorry, or 2.6. All right. Hearing nobody else wanting to speak, all in favor, we'll do a roll call vote. Actually, just Cindy, please do a roll call vote.
Director Budge?
Yes.
Director Harris?
Aye.
Director Howell?
Yes.
Director Hume?
Aye.
Director Jennings?
Aye.
Director Kennedy? Director Miller?
Aye.
Director Natoli?
Aye.
Director Chenier?
Aye.
Director Cerna?
All right.
Chair Hansen?
Aye.
With that, we have a quorum at 100 votes. The next item is item number 5.1. Public
Cindy,
hearing.
before you move on, I just wanted to thank the staff for working with Paratransit on the lease of space and continue that partnership that we've had to work out of their facility. So thank you to Henry and Brent and everybody who worked on that.
Thank you.
All right, next item.
Item 5.1, public hearing, preliminary fiscal year 2021 operating and capital budgets. A, we accept public comment on the Sacramento Regional Transit District preliminary fiscal year 2021 operating and capital budgets. And B, we'll ask for a motion to continue the public hearing to June 8th, 2020. And here to present is Brent Berniker.
Good evening, Chair Hansen and members of the board. Can you hear me okay?
We can.
Great. All right. So I will be presenting the SAC-RT's revised fiscal 21 preliminary budget. The original draft budget was presented on April 8th to ensure compliance with the public notice requirements. This began the clock for the 60-day public comment period. To date, we've received 3 comments. All the comments will be brought back to the board on the June 8th board meeting. With the COVID-19 situation continuing, staff will incorporate more refined estimates into the final abridged budget. Next slide, please, Cindy. Thank you. The operating budget is set at $202.2 million. The expense amount remains unchanged from the April figures. However, we've revised the revenue estimates to reflect the downturn in the various revenue projections. In fiscal 21, the budget represents an increase of 4.7% over fiscal year 20. The increase is primarily due to the new costs associated with hiring and operating paratransit services. This budget also includes a 3% increase in salaries across the labor groups. The FY21 capital budget is set at $195.8 million. A full list of projects can be found on page 25 of the preliminary budget document. Next slide. Okay, so this slide shows our operating revenues by type. With the COVID-19 related costs and revenue reductions becoming more significant, now about 50% of our revenues, operating revenues, will need to be covered with federal funds. In the past, prior to COVID-19, federal funds were about 18%. This change in revenue is the result of the additional federal funding through the CARES Act. Next slide, please. So this next slide compares the revenue budget pre-COVID and now. As you can see, the largest revenue source, which is the state and local revenues, is projected to be down approximately $55 million, which is about a 45% reduction. The overall revenue loss without CARES fundings is projected to be around $73 million. Even with the CARES funding to plug that hole, it leaves an estimated budget gap of approximately 4.9. That being said, SAC-RT has been working on plans to do some cost reduction initiatives to close that gap and bring back a balanced budget for your approval in June. Next slide.
Frank, can you actually share with the board, the cost reduction plan, virtually are 2. One is reduced overtimes, and the second is to freeze on the hiring of the non-essential positions, which we might save, more than $5 million by doing this too, which we will implement in the end of May.
Yes.
Mr. Chair, could I make a quick statement?
Yes, go ahead.
Yeah, Brent, I think this is really good. I appreciate all the work that's gone into this. I think one of the things that I would look for when this comes back in June is kind of a list of assumptions of how you got to the dollars. I mean, some are pretty straightforward, but when we're talking about state and local dollars, primarily, like how fast the economy comes back, things like that would be really helpful to understand as we look at the numbers.
Great. That's a great point. And just to give you some confidence from the board's perspective, what we do on the revenue side, because that's really where it's the most tricky. On the expense side, we have planned runs and so forth. So we have a really good handle on that. On the revenue side, we have all the major categories listed in Excel, and we have projections, whether it's the cash fares, prepaid fares, Connect Card fares, contract revenues, LC Top, all those funding sources. Where it gets a little tricky, obviously, is with the sales tax reductions. What we've done, just to give you some comfort, is we've worked with various groups. There's been CFO meetings. There's been working with Tim Jones at the STA to come up with some revenue projections for sales tax. And we've tried to combine all of those to kind of come up with our modeling. So I just want to give you that level of comfort.
No, and I think that's great. Knowing what those are would be great, because for us too, I think between the cities and the county that we represent, looking at the assumptions and how those match or don't match is going to be important for us as well.
Okay, sure, will do then. Okay, on this next slide, what we're doing here is just breaking the operating budget. Let's see, I'm on slide 5. Yeah, let me go back. Hold on one second. Make sure I'm on the same slide. Okay, slide 5, there it goes. This is basically just breaking up the operating budget, and what you can see here is the majority of our cost goes into the operations. You'll see the admin cost only makes about 19%. The rest of it goes into bus, rail, and so forth. Next slide. On this chart, what we're doing is we're just giving a quick breakdown of the capital budget, and you'll see that the two major categories are system expansion and the fleet program. On these programs, the 3 large expenses that we're looking at is the replacement of the 90 CNG buses, purchasing some low-floor cars, and the Sac Valley Station Loop project. Of the $195 million budgeted, about $4 million is currently funded. However, at this time, we have about 15 grant applications in process, and we're looking to complete several more by the end of this fiscal year. And then in addition, if there is new federal funding, which we hear is a possibility if it comes to SAC-RT, the next goal would be able to assign those funds to urgent capital replacement needs. Next slide. So this is a chart showing our reserves, where we're at today and where we'd like to be with a goal. So if you look at our SAC-RT reserve policy, we have 2 operating reserve target levels. The first is a minimum reserve, which is 8%. And the second is a goal of 12.3% of our expenses. If you look at this chart, you'll see that the operating reserve and the working capital reserve combined are about 18 million. The operating reserve that's just sitting in a cash reserve for this purpose is 13.8. So that area starting in fiscal year 19, 20, and 21, that 13.8 is in a restricted cash account. And that is sitting there. As you can see, in fiscal year 19, we met the minimum reserve requirement, which is great. We have yet to meet the goal. However, through this fiscal year, through March 31st, we were doing really well. We were heading towards an operating surplus of close to $5 million. And obviously, this COVID issue hit, and that's stalled things out. In conjunction, though, if that had continued in conjunction with our working capital, that would have put us over $20 million. So right now, our plan is to obviously, for those COVID-related expenses and to keep people employed, we are going to be using CARES money for fiscal year 20 and 21. But we would still like to, at the end of the year, be able to demonstrate a $5 million surplus that could go into an operating reserve. Next slide. Looking forward is the outlook. There's a couple of challenges that I'd like to bring up. The first one is the state of good repair. That's our number one issue. This is replacing and overhauling our light rail cars and buses. We have about 97 light rail cars and over 200 buses. Half of them need replacement immediately. The second challenge is how to operate in this COVID-19 environment. It's not post because we're still going through it. The impacts are still unknown. But what our goal is to find ways to improve efficiencies and reduce costs as much as possible, because that gives us some flexibility. To that end, we have these planned cost reductions that we are going to put in place by May 31st, and they're projected to close that budget gap of about $4.9 million. And those are the topics that Henry had talked about. And next slide is the budget schedule. As you can see, the next budget meeting we have is June 9th. We'll be bringing back a balanced budget for the board approval. We'll also submit all the public comments at that time. And this concludes my presentation, but I'd be happy to answer any more questions.
Are there any questions from the board? Cindy, did we receive public comment?
Yes, I have 2 public comments to read.
Okay, why don't we do that?
Okay. The first one is from Helen O'Connell. And she said, I feel this item should be tabled until June because of the lack of ability to get public input. My name is Helen O'Connell, and this is too big of an important issue to be rushed through. Thank you very much. Stay safe. And the second comment is from Mike Birnbaum. Greetings, Chair Hansen and members of the board. 1 year ago, the outlook on public transit budgets was great, especially with the state of California boosting a surplus of over 20 million. Because of COVID-19, the state of California is now projecting a $54 billion budget deficit. In developing the Sacramento Regional Transit District fiscal year 2021 budget, this is information that must not be taken lightly, which is why I want to address you today so that we can meet this moment in a challenging year ahead. With the leadership of CEO Henry Lee and the recently implemented SAC-RT Forward Service implementation back on September 8, 2019, the Sacramento Regional Transit District is in a better position to deliver transit services to the people of the Sacramento region. To that point, everyone must realize that budget cuts will need to be made to achieve a balanced budget. But the budget cuts being taken into consideration must protect the most vulnerable and leading to a final budget adoption on June 8th. Areas that this preliminary budget must protect are in transit service, customer service, marketing, communications, community partnerships, and all current SAC-RT team members. For service in particular, and to what the author Brent Bernicker wrote, this fiscal year 2021 balanced budget must include new service expansions. In saying that, perhaps the district can reduce and or make cuts in areas like employee overtime, reducing and or eliminating third-party contracts that are in place today, if any, as well as reducing and eliminating travel, with the exception of the planned September 2020 cap-to-cap trip that is spearheaded by the Sacramento Metropolitan Chamber of Commerce. Efforts to gain riders, like starting them riding when they are young through Ride-Free RT, should be preserved in this budget, with continuous efforts to work with community partnerships through the cities, Sacramento County, and perhaps SACOG to maintain this program for our youth. During the 2020 portion of the 2021 fiscal year, it will be extremely important and prudent to launch a voter education campaign about the need for improving local and regional stimulus funds through a 40-year Measure A on the fall 2020 ballot. In closing, we need to put more of an emphasis on working with our congressional delegation like Congresswoman Doris Matsui to pass a second COVID-19 stimulus package that provides cities, counties, special districts, and parishes a bulk of federal dollars to get through and on the other side of this global pandemic. Thank you very much for the public comment on the preliminary 2021 fiscal year budget. Sincerely, Mike Birnbaum. And that concludes public comment.
Thank you,
Mr. Chair?
Cindy.
Mr.
Yes,
Chair, can I
Henry.
just add something?
Yes, please.
Yes. First, I want to make that clear that we received $95 million CARES Act money. In addition to that, we agreed to give Paratransit Inc. $3.3 million. And in lieu of that, Paratransit Inc. agreed to not charging us from March to June. That is a saving of $3.7 million. So virtually, we are actually gaining from both sources. It's about $98.6 million. And that is why when Brent said, this year, this current fiscal year, we will be able to still maintain a $5 million budget surplus if no significant, liability settlement occur this year, which we do not expect that. Secondly, for the new year, the new fiscal year, we assumed a full service level. We will not reduce our service. We are keeping all of our manpower here. we actually give everybody 3% annual increase too. And we are actually going to add in some new services, such as the smart ride. We're going to add something to the North, Sacramento area, and add some into other areas too. So what Mike Bonbon, was expecting is what we plan to do. We are going to actually add some services down the road. If we think about this COVID-19 pandemic, will, our ridership will only, like at the 50% of the level, the normal level. We still need 100% of service to take care of this 50% of the customers, riders, because we cannot pack them into our buses and trains, and they have to keep social distances. So just want board know, this budget assumes full level of service.
Thank you, Henry. Any other board members wish to comment on this item? I don't see any. We would entertain a motion to continue the item to June 8th.
I'll move to continue the item to June 8th.
And I'll second it.
All right, we have a motion from Director Hume and a second from Director Howell. The one thing I'd say, Helen was able to give a comment, even though she said people needed the chance to comment. So Cindy, if you and the public affairs team can push out the link through our social media on how to comment on board items so other people can also comment. But with that, Madam Clerk, why don't we call the roll?
Director Budge,
Yes.
Director Harris,
Aye.
Director Howell,
Yes.
Director Hume,
Aye.
Director Jennings,
Aye.
Director Kennedy, Director Miller,
Aye.
Director Natoli,
Aye.
Director Chenier,
Aye.
Director Cerna,
Aye.
Chair Hansen.
Aye.
With that, we have a quorum at 100 votes. The next item is public addresses the board on matters not on the agenda, and I have 3 comments.
Please proceed.
Thank you. The first one is from Yaya Looney. It says, hello, I have one question. I paid for a monthly pass for March 2020. I only used my $100 pass for a single round trip during the second half of March, $5 value. For those of us who have paid for a monthly pass or for a pass for the second half of March, can we please get a partial refund of at least $25 and up to $50 based on individual usage? Without the refund, we with monthly or second half monthly passes who are working from home or are without employment paid for a service we cannot use. I essentially paid $50 for $5 worth of usage, and I want at least $25 refunded to my account for future SACRT purchases. Thank you.
Mr.
And
Town
we-
Manager? Yeah, go
And
ahead.
we actually refund this customer.
Do we have a policy in place for shareholders, monthly shareholders who, how they can get a refund or extend their pass?
Brent?
We typically we don't do cash refunds on our media unless there's specific circumstances. And I think this is an area where Lisa, you could, as a customer advocacy team and the customer service, you can kind of respond to on their policies probably a little bit better.
Maybe before she does that, it would be better to bring something to the board to allow you, if you need it, some way to handle this, because we have a lot of people who are paying for monthly passes that can't use them. So we probably need to look at that. And given the budget's coming back on the 8th, I'm guessing it'll have a slight impact, but almost all of the public amenities that are closed that charge monthly fees have either put those on hold or done refunds. So I think we should probably come up with a policy for the agency.
Okay. One thing we have.
It's up to the board, but to come back, go ahead.
Sure. One thing, Director Hanson, one thing we have done is with the Connect Card model, it's a little more challenging to do refunds. And so what we did is coming into this issue, we knew this was going to be the case. So we sent out email blasts to all the Connect Card users because they're easy because we have all their information with their email, obviously. And we sent out ways for them to stop their the monthly auto loads. And actually, we didn't see a lot of people respond to that. We still have people doing their monthly passes, and a lot of those employees are subsidized. So it's a little bit it's a little easier if they just leave it as an option for them to pay. But we'll come back with what you've asked. I just want to give you that information.
Okay, thank you. Madam Clerk?
The second comment is from Jeffrey Tartagia. Meeting is closed to public. You have explained how to watch an item. Did I miss, are you reading public comment? PC. I saw 2 cars on Gold Line, which is exciting. Are more riders traveling? I will still raise concerns at transit centers that often with Sunday Plus, you have 5 to 15 when buses leave and 45 minutes no buses. How often is this occurring? I see this at SVS, no bus stop number, 65th transfer point, question mark. What is it at I-80, Del Paso, Arden, and Florin Mall, etc.? I asked with detours and construction blocking 65, 67th Street, hazards and health concerns. Why not redirect to Power Inn Station most buses and provide a shuttle from Power Inn to Sac State to 65 around like I-80 for elevator issues? Would it take longer than 15 minutes per destination? He also asked about SPESH on new low floor months ago and recently asked about UV lighting installed for public protection. RT press release last week or 2. I thought RT was getting several cars this year to check out. Many others, but looking with closed to public MAC and RT board, I hope you will direct public to YouTube website for RT recording. Thank you, Jeffrey Tartagia, your regional ambassador, and he's listed his phone number. P.S. From a week to a month reported not fixed broken Connect Card Terminal Center of 65th LRST and blank electronic bulletin board Sac Val Street. I recommend you put 2 up at Sac Valley Station as many times it is broken and to alerts Amtrak passengers that this is regional transit.
Thank you, Madam Clerk. Final comment?
The final comment is from Mr. Birnbaum, and it's 2 pages long, but I'll read it. Greetings, Chair Hanson, members of the board, and staff. I hope everyone had a wonderful Mother's Day weekend. I want to start off, Chair Hanson, by making a request to adjourn in memory of every Friday at 7:30 p.m. I have the opportunity to virtually attend Congressional B'nai Israel Shabbat services led by Rabbi Mona Alfie, Cantor Julie Steinberg, and singer-songwriter Michael Hersher. I come to learn just this past Friday from Rabbi Mona Alfie that we lost a member of our community at 94 years of age back in April. I want to adjourn tonight's meeting in memory of Elaine Chenier. Elaine was the mother of board member Jay Chenier. I wrote a more detailed piece about this on Jay's Facebook page, particularly mentioning that leaders do not become the leaders that they are today overnight. The parents of a leader play an important role in who that person has become today, and that takes many years. Jay has been instrumental in launching the Ride Free RT program for youth throughout the Sacramento region. It is a testament to ideas like this that happened because of a person who was raised by good parents. To Jay and all his family, we send our thoughts, prayers, and condolences for your loss in April. If there is anything that you need from any of us, please let us know where we can help you out. On March 7th, I attended the Zoom meeting of the Sacramento Metropolitan Area Rail and Transit Advocates hosted by Glenda March. This meeting was also attended by Henry Lee, Jim Allison, Dan Levitt, as well as former RT board members Steve Cohn and Roger Dickinson. Perhaps the biggest takeaway from that meeting was that the Capitol Corridor, currently at only 5 daily round trips, will impose a service change in the first half of June, giving them up to 7 or 8 round trips. CCJPA staff is working diligently behind the scenes to see how all the train turns will work out while maintaining a positive relationship with Union Pacific and Amtrak. Further details about this timetable change will be available, and he's listed their website, sometime after Memorial Day and before Flag Day, June 14th. On Saturday, May 9th, I attended the Sacramento Transit Riders Union Zoom meeting. This was also attended by Chris Flores and James Drake of SacRT, as well as Greg Taylor of the City of Sacramento. The topic of the 2-hour meeting was the Sacramento Valley Station. Greg mentioned that based on existing timelines and work schedules, he hopes to go to City Council sometime in September for a presentation and project update. James had mentioned that some upcoming SacRT service change, Route 51, would definitely go to Sacramento Valley Station, while Route 62 would likely go to the Sacramento Valley Station. Routes in the north area like 11, 86, and 88 might be more challenging. SacRT will continuously look into how these and other downtown area fixed bus routes would serve the Sacramento Valley Station upon completion of phase 1 of the city-led project. In addition, Chris briefly went over the SacRT ridership during the COVID-19 pandemic and the percentage of service levels that SacRT is currently operating of normal, as well as the service level of normal that SacRT will begin operating starting on June 14th, with the ultimate goal of getting fully back to normal service levels at the time that SacRT September 2020 service changes are implemented. The next San Joaquin JPA board meeting will be at 10 a.m. on Friday, May 29th in the SJ Cog board chambers in downtown Stockton, while the Capitol Corridor JPA will hold its next board meeting at 10 o'clock on Wednesday, June 17th in the BART boardroom in Oakland. At first, Zoom was a bit challenging. Yes, sir.
How much more does Mr. Barnbaum have? I believe he is over his 3-minute timeline here, and we're just doing a status check.
There's one last paragraph.
Okay, with the consent of the board, I think we should go for it. Your reading is very exquisite.
I would just say that if Mike Barnbaum were reading those 2 pages, he would come in at exactly 3 minutes. So.
But if you were reading, never mind.
I'm with Patrick on that. You know, he timed it. He talks faster.
Oh, yeah. Go ahead, Cindy.
Okay. At first, Zoom was a bit challenging to figure out and get. As it got used more and more throughout the COVID-19 pandemic, it became more user-friendly, especially from a participant perspective, not so much as a host perspective. In closing, I look forward to hopefully seeing everyone again at 5:30 on Monday, June 8th. Should it become a requirement that we wear facial covering or a mask in order to attend the June 8th board meeting, then I am perfectly fine with that and would be more than willing to comply in order to participate again in the board chambers. In the meantime, I will also be attending via WebEx the May 11th board meeting of the Yolo County Transportation District with a report back soon on the YOLO Go project that they are now undertaking. Sincerely, Mike Birnbaum.
Thank you, Cindy. All right, unless there are directors who would like to comment on those, I think we'll go to the general manager's report. Linda, are you trying to say something? You're on mute, but I see you're talking.
Okay, I have a brief comment. If we're going to be in public and wear face masks on the 8th, then I suggest they should be regional transit face masks.
Oh, you want some swag? Okay, we'll work with staff. It's not clear yet.
Big on swag, remember?
It's not clear yet when we'll return to the boardroom. I think as soon as the county gives permission for gatherings, we'll have to work through a protocol to ensure the safety of the public and the board members. So I think we'll have an update probably in the next couple of weeks. General Manager?
Yes, good evening, Mr. Chair and the members of the board. Today, I would like to ask staff to present the results of 2 recent surveys that will guide us for the future. The first is our preliminary customer satisfaction survey, which was done a couple months ago, and another one is employee satisfaction survey, which was done in February this year. But before that, I want to touch a couple of updates briefly. First, there were 2 great new partnerships launched last week. Last Monday, in partnership with Eurobus, Electrify America, and others, we launched the new electric zero-emission causeway connection, which connects the UC Davis main campus with the UC Davis Medical Center. Due to the impacts caused by COVID-19, the service has launched with a modified schedule, which the cup runs in the morning and the cup runs in the afternoon, not the whole day. With this modified schedule, we feel this will give us an opportunity for us to get used to the new electric buses. You can see the slides, the beautiful buses. Also, last week, we deployed the first 3 Sacramento Wi-Fi buses in communities with limited high-speed internet access. That is a press conferences, chair was speaking. The high-speed internet access is free to support distance learning for kids. And this week, we will deploy 10 buses in 40 different locations for the next 60 days. This is a great partnership with the California Transportation State Agency, City of Sacramento, and 6 private telecom firms like Verizon, AT&T. And we are hopeful this pilot initiated by the governor will serve as a blueprint for other agencies to follow throughout California. From today, each of 10 buses will provide 3.5 hours of wireless broadband service at 2 locations each day. The buses will provide high-speed connectivity for up to 1,800 feet, helping students access to homework and class assignments. And we're grateful to taste this here in Sacramento as one of the first 2 cities in the state. Second topic is about the COVID-19 status. As we approached nearly 2 months of life under the stay-at-home order, we continue to take the necessary steps to ensure the safety of our riders, employees, and the public as a whole. We have worked with the California Office of Emergency Services to implement lots of industry best practices. Some of these practices include sanitizing and fogging buses, trains, and facilities every day, cleaning, sanitizing all touching points every day, provide employees with necessary PPEs such as we have purchased over 20,000 facial masks. And we implement real door boarding policy and installed the protective plastic glass barriers on each bus by the driver's seat. And we're implementing policies requiring all employees to wear a facial covering in the workplace, and we urge riders to wear a mask and to download the free mobile fare app to reduce touchy points. And we operate in actual buses and trains on the busy commutes. And very gratefully, we have not had one single confirmed COVID-19 case among our 1,200 employees. And we do have about 10% of drivers, they stay home for COVID-19 related reasons, such as childcare and showing some symptoms. And we are hopeful that we are beginning to see the light at the end of the tunnel. So we are not going to have any confirmed case in the future. Our team is working on a service restoration plan that includes multiple scenarios depending on how quickly the economy will return. And we look forward to working with the board and the community to ramp up service in a safe and effective manner. So this basically concludes my update. So Laura and Sherry, could you please take over to present board with the 2 surveys?
Mr. Chair, I have a question for the director.
Go ahead, Dr. Harris. Sorry, I was on mute.
Oh, okay. Henry, I have a question for you about the Wi-Fi bus.
Yes.
In South Natomas, the bus was deployed to the community center but could not park on the parking lot for lack of a permit from the city of Sacramento. And so they had to park on the street, which was non-effective and basically definitely a problem. Have you resolved that issue?
So Director Harris, once we get that feedback, we immediately address that issue on the same day.
You did secure the permit and the bus is now on the parking lot?
We just simply, because they invite us to park in the parking lot, so we just did it. Because to secure the permit takes time, so we just did it because they allowed us, they invite us to park in the parking lot, not on the street, so we just did it.
Director Harris, this is Olga. I just wanted to add on to that. We are currently working on trying to get all the rights of entry in place. But in the interim, we are having the buses park in the parking lots where we're invited to do so.
Thank you, Olga. I appreciate that clarification. And I think that's a good result because that's where the bus needs to be.
Yeah.
So pending a bureaucratic solution, you've got a practical one. And I want to tell you, I appreciate it.
Thank you.
Yes, thank you.
Thank you, Director Harris. Any other questions before we move on?
Yeah, Chair.
Director Hume, go ahead.
Thank you. Henry, I just had a quick question as a follow-up to your update on the COVID-19 precautions that we're taking on our vehicles. What is the general morale of the drivers, and are they taking precautions themselves to try and take themselves out of the line of fire of this?
So the first half of the time since mid of March, they kind of like our drivers, because we have like about 50 up to 50 drivers, they will sit idle waiting for the assignments every day. And first half of time, they kind of like they were not afraid of COVID-19. They stay in the driver's room, and I went there a couple times, and the spirit was very good, very high. I mean, they really were not afraid. Then the next half of the time, since the middle of April until now, they realize how serious this is now. So they stay in the boardroom with 6 feet distances. So we work with union together very closely, and like Ralph Nitz, who is the president of ATU, a couple of weeks ago, the news medium asked him about any, feedback from him, and he told them, everything, is great, and he has no complaint. So I think that's a basic update on that for you, Director Hill.
Any other questions? Okay, let's move to the next presentation.
Good evening, Chair Hansen and directors. This is Laura Ham, and I'd like to present some preliminary results to you from our origin and destination survey, specific to the passenger survey results. We'll go ahead and go to the first slide, please. Thank you. Earlier this year, as a follow-up to SAC-RT Forward, staff hired a survey firm to conduct passenger surveys on board the bus and light rail system. FTA requires SAC-RT to perform passenger surveys at least every 5 years as a part of Title VI to establish customer demographics by route and by fare type. In addition to ethnicity and income, these surveys provide a great deal of information on travel patterns that we cannot get from the automatic passenger counters alone. For example, why the customer rode and whether or not they made any transfers on the way to their destination. Because of the COVID-19 pandemic, our survey was unfortunately interrupted and we'll have to postpone its completion until at least this fall. However, we were able to finish about 80% of the survey on the bus side with close to 1,800 responses, and we have some preliminary results to share with respect to customer satisfaction. Next slide, please. As slide 2 shows, customers were asked to rate SAC-RT on a variety of factors on a scale of 1 to 5, with 5 being the best. The top scoring result was where we asked customers to rate the reliability of the route they were on, which scored a 4.2 on average. Customers also rated SAC-RT highly for friendly operators at 4.1. Safety and cleanliness scored slightly lower, with cleanliness of light rail stations scoring 3.5. Overall, our customer satisfaction ratings average approximately 80%, a very positive rating. Our consultant, Dan Boyle, who has extensive experience conducting this type of survey and recently worked with us on SAC-RT Forward, shared with me last week that he was very impressed with the high level of the ratings. Next slide, please. Other interesting results were that school and college trips made up about 1 in 5 trips on the system. This is on par with surveys in 2010, 2013, and 2015. So we suspect that school and college trips were actually down quite a bit between 2015 and 2018, and that we recaptured a lot of that lost ridership in the past 2 years between ride-free SAC-RT and the changes that we made to our Los Rios Pass program. Next slide. Thank you. That is consistent with what we've seen in our fare collection data. Connect Card also amounted to 31% of boardings and Zip Pass for 9%. That means about 2 out of 5 riders use electronic fare payment on bus. As we stabilize from the COVID crisis and as we get the full data set, hopefully later this fall, staff will come back with a more thorough presentation on the origin and destination survey. So that concludes my presentation, unless you have any questions.
Are there any questions for Laura? I don't see any. All right, thank you, Laura.
Okay, I'll hand over to Shelley Valentin now.
Thank you, Laura. Good evening, Chair Hansen and members of the board. Can you hear me okay?
Yes, we can.
Thank you. So my name is Shelley Valentin, Vice President of Integrated Services and Strategic Initiatives. And tonight we are pleased to share with you the initial results of our employee survey. This is the first year we have conducted this kind of survey in conjunction with our efforts to begin updating our strategic plan. Once completed, SAC-RT's new strategic plan will include key performance indicators for our most critical operational areas, or the strategic pillars. The results of this survey will establish our baseline for tracking our performance in the areas of employee engagement and satisfaction. But more importantly, we want to use the survey results in designing employee development programs, enhancing internal communication, and engaging with the employees in coming up with solutions for areas of improvement they have identified. To ensure that responses were kept anonymous and that the survey methodology is comparable with what's utilized by other transit agencies, we have engaged a consulting firm to administer the survey and analyze and interpret the results. This consulting firm specialize in transit and have done similar work with other agencies across the nation. So here to provide a brief report on the survey is Conchita Robinson, President of C. Robinson and Associates.
Thank you, Shelley, and good evening, Chair Hanson, members of the board, Mr. Lee, SAC-RT leadership, staff, and others on the call. I am Conchita Robinson of C. Robinson Associates, and it is indeed my pleasure to share with you this evening the current status of the employee survey program. Next slide. This employee survey was developed and rolled out to obtain an initial understanding and a baseline of SAC-RT employee views in key performance areas. The survey was done between February 24th and February 29th. 4 or 5 different members of my team, depending on the day, were in 13 different locations. The SAC-RT employees were able to take the survey online or via hard copy of paper. It was done weekdays and weekends, and we were surveying or allowing for the surveys to be taken from 4 a.m. to 10 p.m. to ensure that we covered all 3 shifts. What we're really proud to report is that there were 592 SAC-RT team members that took the survey. And that is an outstanding number for an initial baseline survey. It represents about 60% of your employee base, given that during this week there are individuals that were, that were out ill or on vacation. And 60% is a very, very strong number for the initial survey. This was not mandatory. They were self-selecting to take the survey. What you see on this sheet is that the demographics of the survey were broken down so that we could know which union the employee belonged to, and that would allow us later in the program to begin to target initiatives of programs based on the feedback of that group. Next page. There were 15 key questions, 12 of which you would choose strongly agree, agree, somewhat agree, disagree, strongly disagree. And then the open-ended questions were what the SAC-RT do best or well. The next one would be what would how could SAC-RT improve, or what areas should they improve? And then the third was just an open area for comments that you would like to provide. Next slide. I'm very pleased to report that the employees are really pleased with the environment that they find themselves and with the employees that they're working with. Some of these numbers are extremely high, and understand you are getting feedback from over 60% of your employees. If you look at this, it's assorted from most favorable to least favorable, and you have a 97% favorable on I have a good relationship with those around me. 90% on I believe that SAC-RT makes a positive contribution to this community, and the overall I am happy at work, meaning I am pleased with my working environment, and that is really outstanding to be close to 89-90% with that 88.5. My skills and abilities are well utilized at work. They're very strong. SAC-RT provides a safe environment for me to work in, competitive pay and strong benefits, all very, very strong. And I would tell you that most look to, strive to meet an 80% or greater in all the question areas. I've seen some feedback on these baseline surveys as low as 30, 40%. And therefore, I would tell you we were pleasantly surprised with these results. Now, if you look to the bottom 3 or 4 areas, there are areas, though, that we also have been able to provide some input on from your team that you might work on. I received timely feedback on my performance from my supervisor. Teamwork is encouraged in practice. I am kept aware of all the good achievements at SAC-RT, which is a communications piece, and I have the right tools and technologies I need to do my job. This page represents all of the responses, but do understand that because we got the demographic data that talks to which union, you also have the ability to cut each of those into, to cut the data by union group, which allows you to identify what's strong, where we're very strong, and where do we have opportunities to improve. If we can turn to the next page. The open-ended comments, again, allowed for the employee to share what they like most about working at SAC-RT, as well as what they like, what SAC-RT needed to improve on. What you have here is on the left side of the slide in the dark blue are your 80%. 80% of your comments showed there, or about 550 of the 688 comments or positive comments. Very impressive again. 80% talk to pay and benefits as a positive. Their coworkers, who they work with, as a positive. The environment, just the fact that folks wrote that they really just enjoy their job, and they're very happy with the fact that SAC-RT does a lot to help in this community. Again, this is something to be quite proud of. Now, understand, we did not give them the category to put their comments in. We truly allowed, open page for them to write what they thought, and then we captured and categorized it based on their comments. On the next slide, what does SAC-RT need to improve on? Thoughtful feedback. Again, the comments were sorted based on the feedback of the employee. Top 80% represents about 542 of the 680 comments. And all this data and all the comments have been sorted by employee group and by union to allow for targeted programs to be implemented for improvement. The highest area here talks to communication, not at all rare in the industry. And again, as I shared, there are surveys that have been published this year that show scores of communications from leadership down as low as 32 to 40%, and communications between groups, functional groups, as low as 25 to 30%. So though this area is one of the ones that gave us the most comments here on things that we can improve on, I feel that SAC-RT should be really proud of the feedback that they have received from the employees. The last slide. Next steps, our team will be working with Shelley and other members of the executive management team as we identify the 2020 focus group topics. And the next step of this survey is that we take this data and we share the findings with members, cross-functional members of the SAC-RT employee team who volunteered while we were there to take the survey, that they'd like to be a part of solutioning. We will conduct these cross-departmental focus groups. Based upon the sign-up, we'll probably conduct 6 to 10 different focus group sessions. will facilitate the discussion around potential ideas and solutions to bring back to the executive team. We will then work with Shelley to develop an action plan, which we will review with Mr. Lee and the executive management team. Then implementation and monitoring of the action plan happens from that point, and we will be tracking the progress and how well we did in the FY 2021 survey, because that will provide us again with the employees' feedback. This concludes my presentation, and I'd be happy to answer any questions. Thank you.
Thank you for the presentation. Do any board members wish to ask questions? I think it's a very helpful information. It doesn't appear that any board members wish to speak. I'll give it one more second. Cindy, do you have any public comment on this item?
I do not.
Okay.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Any other items for the general manager's report?
In your package, you have item C, a written report from the Paratransit Inc. special board meeting. If Director Hume has anything to add.
No, ma'am.
Thank you. On item D, the San Joaquin Joint Powers Authority meeting of March 27th, also a report if Director Hume has anything to add.
Again, no.
And then Director Budge sent me an email with her report, which I will read for the Sacramento Placerville JPA meeting. To the SACRT Board of Directors, copying interested parties regarding the Sacramento Placerville Transportation Corridor Joint Powers Authority regular meeting of May 11th, 2020. The JPA Board, consisting of Carrie Howe, Shavia, Friends, and sorry if I butchered that name, Don Natoli and Linda Budge, met via telephone conference this morning. That's today, May 11th. Minutes were approved on the consent calendar. Regular business consisted of approval of the operating budget and capital improvement budget for 2021. The operating budget will remain at 110 million funded by contributions. It must be 110,000 contributions and 27,500 from the member agencies. The line items will be revised to reflect late information in some accounts. Expenditures are expected to remain under budget and no new expenditures are planned. The capital improvement budget was discussed and revised. There is a portion of the intersection of the rail line and the multi-use trail over a creek that is annually washed out by stormwater. The new CIP will be increased to 60,000 divided into 50,000 for storm drain and 10,000 for other trail improvements. It is hoped that this washout area can be repaired and not have to deal with the same problem year after year. The next meeting of the Sacramento Placerville Transportation JPA will be August 3rd, 2020. Director Budge.
Yeah, thanks. I left David Sander out of that. He was there too.
Very thorough. Thank you, Director Budge and Ms. Brooks.
And just to let everybody know, that trail that Linda was referring to in her report is actually in El Dorado County.
Thank you, Director Howell. Any other items for the board before we adjourn for closed session?
I just need to read the closed session items. Chair Hansen, please.
Okay.
Closed session, item 13.1, public employee performance evaluation pursuant to Government Code Section 54957, titled General Manager CEO. And at this time, the board will recess to closed session and we'll ask everybody else to exit the conference call. And Chair, if we could just take a few minutes to do that.
Absolutely. So board members, please stay on. We'll let the rest of the people drop out of this particular meeting.